Hi, and welcome to the Fair Dunkem podcast. My name is Jay Lewis. This is the inaugural episode. I think that's what I think inaugural means first. I should have. This actually, it's the first episode, the second time actually for this one. I recorded this episode last week, went really well, and then Zoom decided to crash and delete my recording. So we're no longer using Zoom to record our episodes. We're using a different program. But this is the first episode of something I've dreamed of doing for a long time, an NBA podcast, just talking NBA, talking everything NBA, and doing it as an Aussie. I'm Aussie. You're going to hear a whole lot of Aussie slang throughout this podcast, whatever we go, and it'll be interviewing Aussies. It's talking NBA from the perspective of Aussies. This is made by Aussies, for Aussies, or wherever you're listening. I actually don't care. You can be American, Austrian, anywhere you want to listen to this podcast, you can go for it. So we're going to be talking with I'm going to be talking with friends and mates all about the NBA, about their experiences following the NBA, and also the unique perspective of watching an American league from the other side of the world, watching games in the day during instead of night, and all that sort of stuff. Today we're going to be covering a whole lot of things. We're going to be covering a trade that went down with this guy you might not have heard of named Dame Lillard. He got traded to this team called Milwaukee. We're going to be having a big chat about all that means, everything in that trade, the Portland side, the Boston side, the maybe a bit of Phoenix, although yeah, that was just like nothing. A bit of Miami, potentially. They sort of pooed the bed in that whole situation. Then also talking a bit about the Clippers season going into this year. What the Clippers look like. Can they compete for a title with Kawhi and PG this year? The James Harden trade scenarios. And who better to discuss that all with than my good mate, Clippers fanatic, and fellow NBA diehard, Flynn Mount. Flynn, why don't you just quickly tell us a bit about yourself?
Thanks for having me. Obviously, I'm Flynn. I've been like Clippers fan for maybe like 12 years now, since like 2013. I got really big into it because I watched the dunk contest with Blake Griffin.
Yeah.
I just fell in love with it.
Yeah, nice. It was actually interesting. The episode we tried to film was with another guy. Flynn's a mate of mine from uni, really awesome guy. Another guy from uni, Sam, we were discussing with him, and he told me he's a Minnesota Timberwolves diehard. Turns out he actually originally followed the Chicago Bulls. He was a Butler fan, followed Butler to Minnesota, and then decided to stay there for some stupid reason instead of going to Philly or Miami. Honestly, I'd even take Chicago from Minnesota, but you never heard me say that.
Yeah.
So this week, just discussing a bit of the stuff that's happening in the NBA at the moment. Obviously, since first episode, we'll be going back a bit further than most. Normally, we'll just discuss the last week. But today, we're going to discuss something that happened, I think, about 2 weeks ago now, 2.5 weeks ago. Been happening since about July or so, though, which is Damian Lillard finally got his request, got traded from the Portland Trail Blazers to the Milwaukee Bucks. It's a trade that's been rumored for years now, really. I feel like ever since CJ McCollum went in, was that 2020, 2021 when he went to
Yeah, I think so, yeah, to the Pelicans.
Went to the Pelicans there. It was sort of like, okay, this era's sort of over. They've tried to rebuild around him. I think they should have traded him a couple of years ago. But Dame, best player,
definitely.
it's always hard to give up on your best player. Just to give a quick recap of the trade. The Bucks received Damian Lillard, a point guard they've been in desperate need of, a superstar offensive player. We'll talk about the Bucks in a minute. We'll talk about all these sides in a second. The Trailblazers received an absolute bag, in my opinion. DeAndre Ayton from Phoenix, who we'll discuss it all. I need to stop giving my opinions. We'll get into that in a second. I'll just get the details. DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon from Boston, Robert Williams III from Boston as well. The big superstar piece of the trade, Tamari Kamara from Milwaukee Bucks, the second round pick. I'm sure he was the prize piece that they were waiting for the whole time.
Yeah.
Got 3 first round picks and 2 pick swaps. So the 3 first round picks are in 2024. And 2 in 2029, a couple swaps in 2028 and 2030. Suns received Yusuf Nurkic, Nazir Little, Keon Johnson, and Grayson Allen, so that is for DeAndre Ayton. And then the Celtics came in and got Drew Holiday after Milwaukee moved him to Portland, came in and picked him off there. So where do you want to start, Flynn? We can start Bucks, we can start Trailblazers, Celtics, Suns. Where do you want to start?
Start with Dame, I reckon, yeah.
Start with Dame. Let's do it.
Dame, he's a big name.
What was your initial thoughts when you saw that Dame had been traded to Milwaukee?
I mean, I was very surprised. I didn't really hear any many Bucks talk, even though it's been going on for years now. It was mainly with main teams, obviously Miami. That was who he mainly wanted to go to. I had Philly a couple of times, but I don't think that was really going to happen. But Yeah, it was just weird to see him in like a Bucks uniform, like waking up and like seeing like the breaking news. It was just weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up because like obviously I knew something was going to happen soon. Like I was like, I didn't think Portland were going to take him into the season. Media day's coming up. You want to get it done by then, obviously. And I was like, I know one day I'm going to wake up and I'm going to have like 55 notifications on my phone, all from Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it finally happened. Like, yep, he's been traded. And I'm expecting to see all the stuff about Miami. Toronto was getting rumored a little bit at the end as well, but I never really
at the end, yeah. Like I saw like a day before, everyone's like, oh yeah, he was going to go to Toronto, but then like
I never really
obviously
understood.
not. But like
I never really understood Toronto though. I'm like, what they'd have to give up. Like they're the pieces you want to keep
yeah, they already
around.
got Van Vliet out of there. Like
Van Fleet's just gone. Like
what
they
else
need
could
to
they
be
do?
rebuilding and stuff. But I think he obviously goes to Milwaukee. It's a surprise trade, but does make a bit of sense. I think it's a good move for Milwaukee. Their offense has been, it's been okay the last couple of years. Obviously, they've been a great defensive team. You got Giannis, you're always going to be a good defensive team. Holiday,
Yeah.
Lopez. They get Dame. Suddenly, you've got Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And like my first thought was, okay, they're title favorites. Like the easy answer is, if things go right, unless things go wrong, they're going to be title favorites at the moment. I'd pick them over Denver personally. It is close, but I'd pick them over Denver. That was before the Holiday trade. It does obviously hurt their defense a little bit, losing Drew Holiday. I think he's an underrated player, someone like Holiday.
Yeah,
losing
definitely.
that defensively. What about you? Because like they've obviously been a defensive team until now. Now they're going more a bit balanced. Do you think it's going? How much do you think it will hurt their defense losing Holiday, or do you think as long as you got Giannis and Lopez, you're fine?
I feel like a lot because like I know like Giannis can like guard all positions, but like Drew Holiday, like you don't want to use up Giannis that much. Like even though he like averages like so many points and whatnot, like he only plays like 28, 30 minutes in the regular season. So like you don't want to use that all and just like guarding their best player for the whole game. Like I feel like there's a bit of a waste for him. Like he's such a good like rim protector as well. So like you don't really want to take him out of that position.
That's really true. I think there's like their best lineups are with Giannis not defending on ball. Their best defense was Giannis and Lopez in the paint, and then let Holiday track around on the ball. I think it will hurt them. I think they'll be okay on defense. They're never going to be bad as long as you got Giannis. You can't be bad defensively. But I do think I like the trade because I did want them to get something better offensively, but I am just a bit concerned. Like,
yeah, definitely.
If they'd managed to do it around Chris Middleton, I would have been really happy. Dame, Holiday, Giannis. I think if you could have kept Holiday for defense. Middleton, I think he's just getting a bit old, a bit injury prone. But like you do have to come back to Dame and Giannis offensively is probably one of the best duos in the league right now, and that pick and roll is
that's like having like Steph and like Shaq or something.
That's going to be ridiculous. Like, where would it rate for you? Like, okay, I'm going to name current duos. Tell me who if you take them over Dame and Giannis. Okay.
Yeah.
Tatum and Brown in Boston.
Definitely.
You're taking Giannis and Dame
as just a duo.
As a
100%,
duo.
And also I feel like and individually they're better than
Giannis,
like matching up as well.
Okay, so Giannis and Dame, you're taking them over the Jays in Boston. Butler and Adebayo.
I feel like Butler and Adebayo are a better duo, but I feel like talent-wise,
Milwaukee.
like they're definitely better. Yeah,
that's true. I think that's a tough one. Like Butler and Adebayo, I know can work together, but if Dame and Giannis work out, I'm taking them. But there's obviously you don't know exactly what the chemistry is going to be. LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I reckon I'm taking LeBron and AD.
I think
I trust them more. It's just weird to say because they barely play with each other. But like,
no, that's it. It's like the trust aspect is there with LeBron and AD. Like I know what they are. What about your boys, Kawhi and PG?
I'm taking Dame.
Taking Dame, Giannis. Okay.
And Giannis definitely.
Okay. Denver, Jokic and Murray.
Jokic and Murray, definitely. I reckon they're the best duo in the NBA right now. I reckon.
Okay, you're taking Jokic and Murray.
Because they proved it, and also, because they proved it, and they won like a championship. You can't really
That's true.
Say anything else about it.
There's not. They can't. They've done what they're supposed to do. Like I do think there's a higher upside to Dame and Giannis potentially in what they could do, but
Mm.
just because defensively with Giannis, but if we're talking purely offensively, no. I'm taking Jokic and Murray. I think the
Yeah.
playmaking of Jokic is better than anything on either side. Trying to think if there's anyone. Harden, if he's still in Philly, and Embiid. Or Dame and Giannis.
I feel like that's actually a very weird one because I feel like that was very similar to when James Harden got traded to like Philly as it is now to Dame and Giannis because like there's a great inside player and defender with a great playmaker and scorer. It's the same thing, but like I reckon I take Dame and Giannis though because like I think Giannis is the more versatile player and he's unselfish like star. You know what I mean? Like,
I think both
he works better with other players.
Giannis and Lillard. I was thinking a bit about it last night. They both work well with other guys. I think their play style.
Yeah.
Harden needs the ball. We'll discuss Harden in a bit with the Clippers stuff, but Harden needs the ball. Embiid needs the ball.
Mm.
Giannis and Dame, I think both are happy to work without the ball. Both can work alongside other superstars really well. Offensively, I'm not that worried. I think it's going to work. And it is so good for them to have something like 5 minutes to go, close game in the playoffs. I can just give the ball to Dame and you know he's going to be able to do something. That like last 5 minutes, you just run Dame, Giannis, pick and roll every possession. And that's basically unstoppable. Do have a couple of questions about their defense, but time will tell. They're going to be good in the regular season, defensively, because you got Giannis. It's more like playoffs when you got really smart coaches and stuff they'll find ways to get Giannis out of the paint and suddenly you're attacking, like you've got like Damian Lillard, who's going to start at the two, like Malik Beasley, Chris Middleton, like as your 1, 2, 3. Like they're going to attack that a little bit defensively now. But they've got the offense.
I will say this though.
Go for it.
I will say this, like before the trade, the Bucks were my pick to win the whole thing, just because but like now I feel like they're not though. Just because I feel like they're gonna be like experimenting more. If that sounds weird, but
no,
like,
it makes sense. It's like I knew if they got healthy, what they could be. They've won the title when healthy, that team, but I don't know anymore.
Yeah,
we'll move to the other side of the trade.
But now you just don't know.
Got a few things I want to cover. That's exactly it. Trailblazers, obviously, they finally trade Damian Lillard. I think they should have done it a couple of years ago, personally. I think it was inevitable. They were never going to be able to build a team good enough to compete with Dame after CJ McCollum left. They obviously did get a haul. They held out from the Miami deal. Miami were offering like Tyler Hero, a couple of the other young guys, a couple picks. They held out, got this trade. Do you think they got enough for Dame for what they brought back? Got 5 picks. Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon. Do you think that's enough?
I feel like they're always going to be like, or suffer a big loss because it's Dame, obviously, so it's always going to be a big loss. But like, I feel like it's much better now because like someone like Anthony Simons or like Keon Johnson or anyone like that can really actually like, you can show the potential really, but like Dame was kind of like holding him back in a way. You see what I mean?
I think Dame was keeping them in middle ground. Like they weren't ever going to be able to be good. With the team they had, they're never going to be competing for the finals. They're never going to be a title contender, but they're never going to be bad as long as Dame's playing. And you're going to want to run the play through Dame. So I'm excited to see what happens. Obviously, they got number 2 overall pick. This is one of the big reasons they did want to get rid of Dame. Scoot Henderson comes in. Anthony Simons, Shaedon Sharpe, Jeremy Grant, Rod Williams, DeAndre Ayton, Malcolm Brogdon. I think they did bring in some good talent. I like that I think it's smart what they did as well, just looking at the picks side of this, is that they went with a variety of draft picks. Like they could have gone to a team and tried to get like 4 first-round picks from the same team. But what they did was they've now got 5 first-round picks they brought in, so the same number, but they've got 3 from the Bucks, 1 from the Celtics, 1 from Golden State, plus they could still trade Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams for a pick each and stuff. And I think it's really good because it means that you're not banking on one team being bad. Like come like 4 or 5 years, one of Celtics, Golden State, Milwaukee, or like another team is probably going to be bad. So you've got those options of you're probably going to get a good pick out of it somewhere along the line, which I think is really smart. I think it's a better way than just saying, oh, we're banking on this team being bad and we're going to take all their picks. Personally, I think I like it a bit more. They brought in DeAndre Ayton. Are you a believer in DeAndre Ayton still? Skeptic? Where are you at?
I feel like he reached his peak with Chris Paul. As sad as it is to say, but like that's the perfect man. Like to pair him up with. So like I see him getting better, like numbers wise, but not like, I don't know, achievement wise, you could say. Yeah.
I don't think he's going to contribute as well to like a title contender as he was with like I think the best way he was contributing to a title contender was with someone like Chris Paul just being like a defender, being an offensive rebounder, a lob threat. But I think he wanted more of a role, and I don't think he's good enough to be. If the role he wants, he's not good enough to do at a high level.
Yeah, definitely not a number one option, I don't think.
Nah. But I think that's what he wants. And Portland is a good chance they'll get to maybe. I think his trade value was low. Go to Portland, he can put up big numbers for 2 years and build up his trade value, and then you can move him on, sort of thing. I think it was a good, like, low risk, high reward move for Portland. No real downside. All they got rid of was Jusuf Nurkic, who's old anyway. So I think it was a great move for Portland. I think Phoenix sold a bit low. We'll pick one more team to cover. Do you want to go the Suns side? So they picked up Nurkic and stuff. Do you want to talk a bit of Suns, talk a bit of Celtics, talk a bit of Heat? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, but probably the Suns, yeah.
Go the Suns? Okay. So Suns, obviously, already this offseason, trade Chris Paul. They bring in Bradley Beal. They now go and trade DeAndre Ayton, and they brought in like a collection of pieces for DeAndre Ayton, who's their last real trade asset. They brought in Jusuf Nurkic, Nazir Little, Grayson Allen, Keon Johnson. So they brought 4 players back to a team that didn't have much depth anyway. So there's the depth side, which is good, but also you're losing DeAndre Ayton, who definitely had a higher upside than all 4 of those guys. What are your thoughts for the Suns this season with Bradley Beal?
I feel like the trade was to fix like the top heaviness of the team, but like even though they did get more depth, I think they didn't get like any like spark plugs off the bench or like someone that can really contribute like to winning a game. You know what I mean?
That's it. It's like all those guys. Like Jusuf Nurkic is fine as a center, but you've downgraded DeAndre Ayton to Jusuf Nurkic. They're pretty similar players. Just you've gotten lesser, in my opinion. Then you got Nazir Little, Keon Johnson, Grayson Allen. None of them are like. All of them could be like the 8th man in your playoff rotation, like the last guy off the bench getting like 12 minutes a night, maybe in a playoff game. But like, there's no one there that's like, oh, sweet, we brought in 2 or 3 guys that can each get 20 minutes a game, or start in a playoff game. Like, no one there's like that exciting for me. Where it's like maybe Nazir Little could be good, Grayson Allen could be good, but like, if they were doing this trade, I'd rather them come away with like 4 or 5 guys. Like, instead of having their big 4, suddenly you've got like their big 3 and like 3 guys off the bench I trust. I don't really trust any of them that much. So it's like just more guys that you're taking a bit of a stab at. Do you think the Suns are going to be good this year with Beal? Do you think they are too top heavy? Is there enough defense there?
I reckon there'll be a top 5 seed I reckon there'll be a top 5 seed, but they will maybe get to the second round, but won't get past it. I don't see them being either Nuggets, Lakers, even Warriors, or if us if we're healthy, but like not past the conference finals or definitely not second round. I think.
I am skeptical. Like they're going to be good in the regular season. Like you've got Beal, Booker, Durant. They're going to be good in the regular season. I don't think there's enough playmaking, and I don't think there's enough defense there to actually compete in the finals. Like I do need to be clear, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm always not going to like Phoenix after they beat us in 2021. They're a division rival. They're always going to be like, I'm always going to see the downside of Phoenix. I need to make that clear. But I still just don't really trust them. Like, I think the best lineup was when Chris Paul was really healthy. Since he's been injured, like, they just don't look like the same team to me. I don't know. I do like Frank Vogel as a coach, though. We've got Celtics and Heat. We can cover them maybe in another time. Because I want to move on to your team quickly. And that is the Los Angeles Clippers. You're a LA Clippers diehard. As I said, I'm a Lakers diehard, so this is tough for me to talk Clippers, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to grit my teeth. I'm going to get through it. I'm going to talk a bit of Clippers today, and I'm not going to be mean. I'm going to be nice. This is going to challenge everything inside of me. But I want to talk a bit about the Clippers because there is obviously a lot of rumors going around at the moment around James Harden. He requested a trade from Philly. To give a bit of backstory on it, he signed with Philly on a 1-year extension with the thought that at the end of it, Philly were going to extend him, get him more money. He took a bit of a pay cut so he could bring in some guys. He thought there was an agreement to go on. without really knowing who's in the wrong, he feels like he's been done the dirty on. He's asked out. He said he won't play for Philly anymore. That was about the same time as the Dame trade request happened. Maybe, yeah, it was the same week or so. Still hasn't had any trade, mainly because, unlike Dame, there's not many teams that really want James Harden at the moment, I don't think. I think there's a bit of traction from your Clippers, but outside of him, no one really wanted James Harden. So he's still on Philly. He says he doesn't want to play. He's turning up to training camp and stuff, but doesn't seem too interested in playing there at the moment. He has been rumored the one team is to the Clippers. What are your thoughts? Do you want to trade for James Harden? Let's just start with that as the Clippers.
I would not know, just because I don't feel like he would help us win in any sort of way.
Sorry about that. Had a couple technical difficulties there thanks to Melbourne putting on a nice stormy day. We've had a couple internet dropouts, but we're just going back there. What would be your main concerns about a James Harden on the Clippers?
I feel like if there was a scenario where he does help us win, I don't think he would be like very comfortable with that, because like Philly try to make him a playmaker. We don't need a playmaker because Kawhi and PG are so ball dominant, I feel. And like if he does, like I feel like he would need to be a scorer, like a spark plug off the bench. Like 6-man would be like a really good role for him, I feel like. But like I highly doubt James Harden's going to want to come off the bench. Like this max deal guy, not going to come off the bench. There's no way. Like
I love James Harden. I loved him on the Rockets. I don't think James Harden's ever coming off the bench again. That is not his style. We saw when the Lakers tried to do it with Russell Westbrook. I'm warning you, it does not go well. With that, just going back to the Clippers, obviously. So last season, 44-38 record, got the 5 seed. Good season. Again, like always, the Clippers are good. Injury-ridden season. That's a shock with the Clippers. That's never happened before. Had PG played 56 games, Kawhi 52. Matched up with the Suns in round 1. Lost.
PG had 56 games.
PG got to 56 games in the end last year. So that was good for him.
That's surprising.
Like, that's good for them. That's only just over half. Yeah. Get to their competitive series, no Paul George. Russell Westbrook comes in halfway through the year. They win game 1. Kawhi goes down with a knee injury, though, game 2. Continue to fight, but they lose in 5. What are your thoughts on that whole thing? Obviously, there's a lot of concerns. A lot of people I hear on like social media or podcasts or the news, whatever, they're giving up on the Clippers a bit. Do you think they can still compete with Kawhi and Paul George? Is the injuries too much to overcome? Where are you at with all that?
I feel like we are able to compete, but like it's just I think we should be giving up on Kawhi, not the Clippers, if that makes sense. Like Kawhi, as much as I hate to say it, it's that his injuries, he shouldn't even be playing basketball, to be fair. Like when he first got that injury with the Spurs, I'm pretty sure it was like his label was a chronic injury. And if you know what a chronic injury is, that's like a lifelong thing. Like you don't just go back to being like a top tier athlete after having like an injury like that. Like
he's been amazing. Like he's done incredible to get as far as he had with the injuries he's had. But I do think there's a point where it's like, because that is one of the big things I've heard with people saying they want to trade for Harden is that, he's insurance. That way, if one of Paul George or Kawhi are down, you can still compete with the other 2 guys. But it's like, that's why the Lakers tried to trade for Russell Westbrook. And I'm definitely going to do a podcast venting about my experience being a Lakers fan during the Russell Westbrook era. That was a challenge, but I'm still following basketball somehow. And it was obviously really tough, but the issue was they tried to trade for someone to give them insurance against a LeBron or Davis injury. Because we've been the same as the Clippers. We've only had 1 healthy year. Clippers haven't even had a full healthy year yet, I don't think. Outside of maybe that first year, they were kind of healthy, the same year the Lakers were in the bubble, but that was the bubble. That was a bit weird. I think the issue with doing that is like, the only way the Clippers are winning anyways is if Kawhi and Paul George are healthy. So don't make a trade for someone that doesn't work when they're both there and just gives you insurance if one is injured. You need to make trades that are like, we're going to back them in to be healthy. And if they're healthy, we're going to be winning. And if not, we're not. Like, there's no point in trading for someone that's not going to let you win if Kawhi and Paul George are there, but just make you a bit better without them. Going to Harden quickly, I want to throw a hypothetical at you, okay?
All right.
So, they make the current trade. So the current trade offer that is being offered, there's a bit of, neither team's really budging at the moment. The Clippers, from what I've heard, I was doing a bit of research today, they want to trade 2 first-round picks, one as a plain pick, one as like a swap, and an expiring deal. So I think that would be, from what I can see, it would be Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum, and Robert Covington going out with 2 first-round picks for James Harden. Say that trade gets done, so they don't have to include Terrence Mann. Sixers want Terrence Mann, but they let in. You get to keep Terrence Mann, who's a good player. You get to like the start of Feb, and it's like decent. It's just gone like well. Like you got like 26-19 record. Kawhi's been fairly healthy. Paul George has been good. Maybe like he's been out 2 weeks with like a hamstring tightness. Harden's just been Harden. He's been good, not been the best, but he's been fine. So like it's going well. Suddenly at the trade deadline, other teams have underperformed, and there's a couple other stars in the market who want to get to LA. You got like someone like DeMar DeRozan is currently available from Chicago, or Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby in Toronto, Karl Anthony Towns, Brandon Ingram. At that point, would you regret making the Harden trade?
100%, yeah.
Okay. Would you rather? Is there anyone on that list? Like, would you rather Harden or DeRozan on the Clippers?
DeRozan, simply the fact that he's actually going to play basketball, and like James Harden just doesn't fit like what we need. I feel like we need like a reliable scorer. As weird as that sounds, like because we have Paul George and Kawhi.
You sort of need guys that can go without the ball, though. You need guys that can. DeMar DeRozan, he'll cut. He will, he'll play a bit of defense at least, even if he's not great. Someone like I think Siakam and Anunoby would be amazing. They're going to play defense. They're going to cut. They're going to hit threes. Would you rather Karl Anthony Towns or Harden?
I can just thing is, I'm not a big fan of Karl Anthony Towns. I don't think he's like. I feel like he reached his potential like a couple of years ago, and I feel like that's the best you're gonna get. But like, also at the same time, it's not like he's bad, but like, I feel like James Harden is just as good as a spot up shooter as Karl Anthony Towns, and I don't think we need like a dominant big or anything as well.
I like Zubac. I think Zubac is a really good player. Yeah. I like him as a center. Brandon Ingram, if he was available, would you rather him or Harden?
Yeah, I think he's the same thing with DeRozan, just a reliable scorer, and he's a much better like spot up shooter than DeRozan as well, so it's even better. So.
I think Ingram would be a great fit. That would be like Ingram, PG, Kawhi. Like that's impossible to guard if those three are healthy. I want to talk a bit about the Clippers season. Obviously, as they are, Harden hasn't been traded yet. I think it will happen. That's my gut feeling, but that's just my gut feeling. What do you think they do this year? Like, what are your expectations for the Clippers? Do you think you can compete for a title at the moment?
I feel like we'll get a high regular season like seed. I reckon we'll be a top 5 seed. I reckon, but playoffs wise, I really have no idea because like you can't tell with like Kawhi and PG. Like if there's a scenario where they are both healthy, I reckon conference finals maybe. But like I don't see us getting past the Nuggets, healthy Lakers, like or like even like Kings or something. Like I really don't see that happening. But like they're
obviously really
maybe
good.
Conference finals.
Okay, so because like I feel like the West it's not, other than the Nuggets, there's no like stud team, but like there's a lot of teams in that same sort of space. Like I was looking at one of the betting agencies, they have them at 45.5 wins. Like that's the space that you have to pick the over or under. Would you take an over or under on that? Clippers getting 45 wins this year. Do you reckon more or less?
I reckon more. Actually, no, I reckon less because like I reckon it'll be a similar season to last. How like there was so many good teams, and like there'll be like a 45 win team that will be like a top 5 seed. Like
yeah, I think that's sort of where I've got
most years.
Like at the moment, there's a lot of teams that are like in that same sort of space. Like they've got like you got like Golden State, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, the Kings, Timberwolves. I think will be good or at least better. Dallas could be better. There's a lot of teams in that space. Do you think if Kawhi and PG are healthy? Like, say everyone is fairly healthy, like, for the most part, are you taking Clippers over the current Warriors? Like, Curry and Draymond?
Yeah, I reckon so, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Clay and Draymond are just, like, as good as a supporting cast as, like, ours. That's the only reason.
I think Clay and Draymond are, like... I think they're good, but Golden State are getting a bit old. I have concerns about them. I've got a mate who's a
Yeah,
Golden State fan on. I want to have him on the podcast soon. What about Clippers or Lakers? And you can be honest, would you take them over a healthy Lakers team?
I would. I hate to say it, but I would take the Lakers. Yeah,
I think it'd be close. I don't know who we have. If Kawhi's healthy, I don't know who we have that can guard him at the moment. Like Vanderbilt and Prince are good, but like LeBron's old. Hachimura is good, but like you guys are. It would be a great matchup. All these games would be good.
yeah.
What about the Grizzlies if they've got all their guys playing?
If Ja Morant is not like committing a crime, I reckon Memphis Grizzlies are definitely. I reckon I can see him going to the finals. I don't know why, but I'm a big fan of Ja Morant, I think. But,
Okay, Ja's good. Ja's good. I think Marcus Smart will be good there as well. I think he'll be better than Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, and they got no Dylan Brooks, so they won't lose to the Lakers. So yeah,
They haven't got the Dylan Brooks holding them down like an anchor.
yeah.
What about, I just want to quickly to finish off, go back in time a little bit. Kawhi Paul George trade. 2019, obviously you trade a lot of picks. You trade Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as well to get PG. That brings in Kawhi. Looking back on that, do you regret that? Like, seeing how it has played out with the health issues, do you wish you just kept Shai and the picks, or are you happy that you made the Kawhi PG trade? If you could do it again, what would you do?
I don't. It's hard to say because I feel like if we kept Shea, obviously we get so much more than just Kawhi and PG. I feel like we can get like a Luka or like a Trey. Not even Trae Young. He's probably better than Trae Young, but like a Luka or like a Jason Tatum. He's like that, like much value. I feel like
He's got serious value. If you'd kept him and let him become what he was, like I didn't see him becoming what he has. Like he's become amazing.
Yeah, like this jersey behind me has it's like the bad like 2018 team, 2019 team, and it has his signature on it. At the time, I'm like I didn't care. It was Shea,
That's
like SGA,
crazy.
like I didn't really care. Yeah,
That's
now it's
insane
like,
that you got an
that's a
SGA.
cool thing to have. Yeah,
That's so cool. I want that. That could be like an MVP signature, I reckon. Like he is that good. He is so
Yeah,
special.
definitely.
But I think you do have to make the trade. There is a point where like while the trade didn't necessarily work out in getting a title, the Clippers have suddenly they're no longer like the Lakers' younger cousin because of it. Like you've been competitive for 5 straight years now, which is really good. And like even after Kawhi and Paul George, I think they're going to continue to be a big market team that players want to go to in free agency. Players will be wanting to be around. So like there is that aspect that Shea, even when Shea was good, like they were good in those years leading up to Kawhi and PG, but like they were always a bit of the smaller teams. Like it's been good media wise, but I think you guys are going to be, you could be good. I'm not sure. They're one of those teams that it's like at this point, I just need to see it before I believe it. I need to see them be healthy in the
same.
playoffs before I can. If they're healthy in the playoffs, I think they can compete. Like they can still compete. They're still a good team, but I no longer will give them the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be healthy in the playoffs. Like at least LeBron and Davis, I've seen them be healthy in the playoffs 2 out of 4 years now. Like I've seen them been healthy 2 out of 4 years. Kawhi and PG, there's been one time I think when they've both been healthy the whole playoff run. So it's like I just still don't trust them in that aspect. Any last thoughts about the Clippers you want to add in? Any last?
Trade Kawhi Leonard.
Really? Trade Kawhi?
I mean, all he is, he's just like he's a lot of money and he doesn't play basketball. Like there's no reason to have him, in my opinion.
Really?
But, like,
okay. Would you like if you had the option? Would you rather do like a Harden trade or a DeRozan trade and go for like all in again for like 1 or 2 more years, or try and trade Kawhi and PG and rebuild? What would you rather do?
I think keep PG because I feel like he's a good veteran to have. Like, and he's always going to be a good player just because he's a great shooter. And he doesn't really need to rely on athleticism so much. But Kawhi, I feel like for teams that want to win now, I feel like there's some delusional owners out there that think that he would actually help them. But yeah,
and if with Kawhi, they've seen it with Toronto. If he can get a healthy year, he can take you really far. But okay, so would you? If you had the option to trade Kawhi and just sort of reset, would you do it this year, or would you rather wait 1 more year?
The thing is, we didn't really get to see the Westbrook Kawhi and PG thing. So I kind of want to see that for a bit, maybe to All-Star break, I say.
Okay. What about like one? There's also the point that with Kawhi and PG, they are out of contract at the end of this year. I think they're working on extensions. Both of them want like 4 years max money. Are you willing to pay them like 4 years max money to stay in LA? As they only get
Both
older?
of them, no, definitely not. No,
And if you picked one, would it be PG?
it would definitely be PG. Yeah.
Okay,
I think he said he wanted to be a lifelong Clipper as well. Like,
I think
for the rest of his career.
I do think he's the sort of guy that I'd rather have older. I think Kawhi will break down quicker, his body. PG, I think, is more likely to be like, even as he's older, he's still a bit of good. He'll be like a locker room presence. Kawhi, like, I feel like once he retires, no one's going to hear from him. Like, you're not getting the veteran locker room presence from Kawhi. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Flynn. I hope you enjoyed that. I've had a really good time talking Clippers. I'm very interested. I wasn't expecting that Kawhi trade thing at the end. That was that's taken me by surprise. I wish I had a bit more prepared for that. That is interesting.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, that's good. That's what this podcast is for. Is like just for me to get like the NBA things off my chest that I want to talk about. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching. If you're on YouTube right now, if you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, hopefully getting this up sometime in the next couple of days. If you are listening on Spotify, you can go check this out on YouTube. The YouTube channel is at Protecting the Paint. Check us out there. You can find us on Instagram at the same thing, at Protecting the Paint. On YouTube, Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you're watching it on YouTube, you can find it. Be under the Fair Dunkem podcast over there. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jay. Thank you, Flynn. Thank you again for joining us, and have a really great day.
Thanks, man.